Daniel ironed his suit the night before, not because he had to, because he wanted to, because this was the job, the one he'd applied to 3 times over 2 years, the one that rejected him twice before finally saying yes, the one he'd called his mom about at 11 p.m. when the offer came through, and she actually cried on the phone. He set 4 alarms, woke up before all of them. He arrived at the office 40 minutes early, downtown Chicago, 32nd floor, glass everywhere. The kind of building that makes you feel important just walking through the revolving door. The receptionist wasn't at the desk yet. The lobby was empty. Daniel stood there for a moment, briefcase in hand, new shoes slightly too tight, not sure where to go. He spotted a corridor with a half-open door. Through the gap, he could see a large, comfortable chair at the head of a long conference table. Nobody inside. He figured it was some kind of waiting area for new employees. He walked in and sat down. The chair was enormous. Leather. It reclined slightly when he sat. He thought, this company really takes care of people. There was a sign on the door. Daniel had not read the sign on the door because he was looking at his phone trying to find the HR contact he was supposed to meet at 8 a.m. The sign said, CEO, private conference room. At 7:23 a.m., footsteps. The door opened fully. Richard Hale, 61 years old, CEO of the company for 19 years, walked in alongside 3 board members in suits that cost more than Daniel's monthly rent. Daniel looked up from his phone and smiled. Good morning. Nobody smiled back. Richard Hale stopped walking. He looked at Daniel. Daniel looked at Richard Hale. 3 of the longest seconds of human history passed in complete silence. Then from the corridor behind Richard came the sound of clicking nails on a marble floor. Biscuit. Biscuit was Richard Hale's golden retriever. Biscuit came to the office every single day. This was well known to every employee in the building. It was not well known to Daniel, who had started work approximately 4 minutes ago. Biscuit spotted Daniel, a new human, sitting in his favorite chair, smelling like fear and fresh fabric softener, and made an immediate decision. Biscuit ran. Daniel, who had been afraid of dogs since a childhood incident he did not have time to explain, saw a large golden animal sprinting directly at his face and did what any reasonable person would do in that situation. He screamed. Not a quiet scream. Not a dignified scream. A full, high-pitched, from-the-stomach scream that echoed off every glass wall in that conference room and probably reached the 29th floor. He pushed back from the table. The enormous leather chair, which was on wheels, shot backward at speed. Daniel grabbed the edge of the table to stop himself and missed. His arm caught the corner of the glass presentation board instead. The presentation board, which was on a standing frame, wobbled dramatically for 1 full second, while everyone watched, and then fell sideways directly into the side table. The side table tipped. Richard Hale's $400 hand-painted ceramic coffee mug, a gift from his wife on their 30th anniversary, flew off the edge in slow motion and shattered on the marble floor into approximately 40 pieces. Daniel was on the ground, suit jacket half off his shoulders, one new shoe missing somehow, coffee soaking into his shirt from the floor, Biscuit standing on his chest, tail wagging, extremely pleased with how the morning was going. 4 people stared down at him in complete silence. Daniel looked up at Richard Hale from the floor, covered in coffee, dog on his chest, presentation board collapsed behind him, $400 mug and 40 pieces 3 feet away, and said the only words his brain could manufacture in that moment. I'm your new head of marketing. Richard Hale looked at him for a long time. Then he looked at his assistant in the doorway. Then he looked back at Daniel. No, he said, you're not. He stepped over the ceramic pieces, sat down at the other end of the conference table because there were 2 chairs and Daniel had picked the wrong one, and opened his laptop like nothing had happened. HR called Daniel's cell phone at 7:51 a.m. He was technically still on the floor when he answered. By 8:04 a.m., 9 minutes before his official start time, Daniel was back in the lobby with his briefcase, his 1 shoe, and a business card from the HR manager with instructions on where to email his equipment return form. He stood outside on the sidewalk in downtown Chicago at 8:07 a.m. on a Tuesday, in a coffee-stained shirt, and called his wife. She answered on the first ring. How's the first day going? Daniel looked up at the building, then down at his shirt, then at his 1 shoe. So, he said, funny story. He told her everything. She was quiet for a long time. Then she started laughing. Not politely, genuinely, uncontrollably laughing, the kind that makes it hard to breathe. And something about hearing her laugh made Daniel start laughing too. Standing on a Chicago sidewalk at 8 a.m., unemployed for the second time in 2 weeks, covered in a dead man's coffee, 1 shoe on. He walked to a coffee shop, sat down, opened his laptop, and wrote the whole thing down. Every detail. The chair, the dog, the mug, the floor, the 1 shoe. Posted it on LinkedIn as a joke, just to make himself feel better. Within 6 hours, it had been shared 40,000 times. Within 48 hours, 3 companies had reached out about open positions. One of them was a competitor of the company that had just fired him, who said in their message, and this is word for word, "Anyone Richard Hale fires before 8 a.m. is exactly the kind of energy we're looking for." Daniel started that job 3 weeks later, $15,000 more per year than the job he'd been fired from before his start time. He sent Richard Hale a handwritten thank you note. He never heard back. Biscuit probably ate it. Here's the lesson, and it is the most important thing in this entire story. Your worst day, your most embarrassing moment, the story you think you could never tell anyone, is often the exact thing that connects you to the right people. Daniel didn't get the job because he was qualified. He got it because he was human enough to laugh at himself publicly, and real enough that 40,000 strangers recognized something in him they recognize in themselves. Nobody connects with perfect. Everyone connects with real. Your most embarrassing story might be your best one. Tell it anyway.